listening to Europe's #1 pro wrestling podcast.
Set no substitutes.
Bringing you the best in pro wrestling interviews, news, and opinions with Mr. Stevie Knight.
Yes, we are back with a brand new interview. One you've not heard before. It's all getting very exciting now. I'm going to officially upload these to iTunes, to Stitcher, to all the places that you get your podcasts, and I'm excited, honestly, genuinely very excited to be getting things kicking off with the Seconds Away It's Nighttime podcast once again. Do me a favour, please, click the subscribe button. That would be absolutely brilliant. However you get your podcast, please click the subscribe button and leave me a review. If you enjoy it, which I'm sure you do. I mean, it's good, isn't it? It's great to hear from these people. People generally you won't hear from on podcasts. You're going to get to hear from them here. There are no prerequisites of how you get on the podcast. As long as you've had a good career and you've got some interesting stories to tell. I don't care if you've appeared in the main event of WrestleMania or the main event of the Bognor Working Man's Club. I don't give a flying shit. As long as you've got some great stories to tell, you can get yourself on the podcast. So please click the like button on Facebook. You can find us on Facebook at Seconds Away It's Nighttime. On Twitter, Night Podcast. And on iTunes there. Go on, subscribe and leave a review, please. That would be absolutely brilliant. So many great guests that I've already contacted to come on the show. We're going to be talking to Sweet Soraya. We're going to be talking to Adrian Street. Rockstar Spud is going to come back on again. Honestly, loads of people are lined up. Andy Simmons is going to come on. Joe Legend. It's going to be great. It's going to be really, really good. So this is the first new podcast. The others, if you have not heard them, though, please do go back and listen to the previous podcasts. Marty Jones, Nick Magnus Aldis, Danny Boy Collins, Greg Lambert, Ricky Knight, all well worth a listen, so go back, enjoy and listen to those. This was recorded with Mr. Jonny Storm. I met him on a show in Grimsby while I was back in the UK. Known Jonny for absolutely years. 1999 we first met. A guy that, without a doubt, I would probably say is the UK's best wrestler. He's a fantastic entertainer, he's a fantastic worker, and definitely in my top 3 of one of the best guys that I've ever worked with. We've had a great match a few years back for EWW, really good fun match, and then towards the back end of my career we had an absolute blinder for XWA up in Morecambe, which I fondly remember, one of my best matches. Unfortunately, halfway through the match, Jonny Storm did break 3 of my ribs. But like a trooper, I carried on and finished the match. And then afterwards, had to calm down in the changing rooms a little bit, because I was a little bit pissed off by the way that it happened. He kind of just jumped on my ribs. But we're still best buddies, so take a listen to this. This is an interview with Jonny Storm. Starts off a little bit somber. He'd just split up with his girlfriend at the time. God bless him. I'm sure he's moved on since then, but he talks about great things, talks about his time wrestling in TNA, in Japan, what he thinks of British wrestling nowadays, how he was perceived in the changing rooms when he went from going to the new school shows to working for All Star with some of the older guys. A really good interview. So this is Jonny Storm.
Yeah, we're in Grimsby on what night is it? Friday night.
Fucking cold night.
It's a very cold night in Grimsby. My hometown.
Yep.
My hometown. Grimsby lad. Grimsby born and bred. And I've popped along to the show RDW. Real deal.
After fishing all day?
I've not been doing any fishing today. And I found Jonny Storm, my old pal Jonny Storm. How are you?
50-50.
Yeah, you're a bit heartbroken, aren't you? Yeah, bless. What's happened?
Always seems to be when I do a podcast that my life is going through some sort of dramatic change.
Ladies.
All the single ladies, mate.
All the single ladies. And you're getting on now, aren't you?
No.
How old are you now?
23.
23. And you've been around a long time for a 23-year-old, haven't you?
It's tough at the top.
Well, when did we meet, Jonny Storm?
When I was 23.
Which is amazing, because I figure we've probably known each other around, I figure 1999 we first met.
Was it? Was it Crystal Palace?
It would have been Crystal Palace. You was a little shit, wasn't you?
How dare you?
You was long hair. Quite gobby, white outfit.
White.
You had a
white
outfit sewn on little bits of lightning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, still the same gear, mate.
No, it's not. You've changed. You've changed a lot. You was a know-it-all, wasn't you? I remember you being quite a know-it-all.
Yeah, maybe back in the day. Well, I was fresh out of Hamlock, so I didn't know any better.
Yeah, but we disagreed a lot, didn't we? We didn't always. I wouldn't say we didn't get on, but we disagreed on I think our styles of what wrestling was, didn't we?
Yeah, I think so.
I think we got there in the end.
No. Yeah, we did.
We did, didn't we?
Those matches in the XWA, I think, made us, mate.
We did. We had some great little matches, and I think my favourite one. I think we did one in XWA, and we had one that I really enjoyed. Was it for Stu Allen, EWW, where we had the Falls Count Anywhere match, where we rolled ourselves off in a trolley and then came back with a banana in my pants, and
dirt, covered in dirt. We grabbed
we did.
Dirt from outside, just rubbed it on our bodies.
That was great fun. That sounds really kinky, doesn't it? Yeah, and we've done that as well, obviously outside of wrestling as well.
Of course.
Yeah,
that's part of us paying our dues. I do believe. Nothing's changed.
No, nothing at all. We're still doing it. We're still in debt. We're in Grimsby on a Friday night. So, I mean, we're just going to shoot the shit ready because I've got nothing. I mean, I've just seen you. I just found you. And I thought, this man is a good man for a podcast because you've been about, haven't you?
Been around.
You've been around the world. Tell us some of the places that you've been to wrestling.
Grimsby.
Let's go with countries.
Countries?
Yeah.
England.
Yeah.
Thailand, of course.
Of course. We'll talk Thailand later.
States, Japan. I was meant to do a tour of the Sudan.
The Sudan?
A few weeks ago.
Was Abdullah the Butcher there?
Well, funny you should say that.
Yeah. No. No. I don't think he walks too well these days.
But yeah, pretty much, Finland, Sweden, Spain, everywhere. You name it, I've been around.
You've been. I don't know.
He's getting paid, y'all.
He's done. And I mean, you were quite synonymous when you started with your pal. You used to wrestle a hell of a lot, Jodie Fleisch.
Mm-hmm.
Talented guy. Where is Jodie?
Jodie is a personal trainer now.
Okay.
With absolutely no love for wrestling anymore, unfortunately. I still get asked about him all the time about doing shows and stuff, and even if the money's really, really good, he won't do it because he's just too lazy.
Not interested. And it's kind of strange, isn't it? Because the knocky that you two guys used to get was that you was quite small for wrestling, and now, like, Jodie's really big, but he doesn't want to wrestle.
Yeah, he's still in really good shape as well.
Yeah.
He's just got no passion, I guess, for it. And
that's fair enough. And I think that's why you kind of, I spoke about this with Greg, you kind of surpassed him in the wrestling stakes because I think you had more passion for wrestling than he did.
I'd like to think so, I stood the test of time, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
For the still being around today and stuff. And yeah, I'm sure he could get in the ring today and still do it. Maybe not as good as he used to, but he could still do the job just about as good as, most people, I'd say.
Yeah.
But like you say, it's just, I think it's mental, isn't it?
Yes.
Well as,
I think he's had a lot of injuries as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, only towards the latter stage of his career and stuff. But yeah, and maybe he's right because my back's killing me.
Yeah,
constantly.
me too. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We'll talk about injuries later because your style is akin to style in action, which is a catchphrase. But I guess akin to injuries. My back is absolutely knackered, and I haven't done half the stuff you've done. Do you have a lot of injuries?
At the moment, I've got trapped nerve in. Excuse me. I think it's behind my shoulder blade, and I've had that for 2 weeks now, and I've just done 2 weeks on the camps, and it's been absolutely killer. Because we're doing the ring as well every day. Yeah. And I think I'm trying to bump it out, believe it or not. And anyone who knows me knows I don't like bumping. But I'm trying to bump it out just to knock it out of place because it was on a bump that it went in. So my logic is to bump it out, but it hasn't come out.
Strange logic. Maybe a doctor's surgery might be better.
Well, if it isn't okay by next week, I think I'm going to have to get it checked out. Which I don't really want
but
to
your style wasn't always to... not like bumping, was it? In fact,
no,
you was completely renowned for. If we go back to the early 2000s, you and Jodie were renowned for doing. If you've got guys now who, I don't know. I don't follow the British scene as much as I should, maybe. But it was always you and Jodie who were doing these crazy matches, the ladder matches, and all of these things. Tell us about some of your favourites and things along those lines, because it was kind of mad. Some of the stuff you were doing was quite crazy.
Yeah, I guess it was innovative for its time.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's so many more guys now, and it's good and bad at the same time, because there's a hell of a lot of really good guys as well who can do a lot of good stuff. But then on the flip side of that, there's a lot of not so good guys, which is kind of ruining it to a certain extent. But my stuff with Jodie, I don't know, at the time it was just the norm for us, do you know what I mean? We'd do, obviously probably the career-making match for us was the CZW.
Yes, when he went out to America, yeah.
Went to America, worked for them, and then we did Ring of Honor, and then we went to developmental for a while and stuff.
Did you really? Right, so what happened there then? So
we were in the States at the time, and we were good friends with Chad Collier, I'm sure you know, and he said come down, and he had a deal at the time, and we went down there. And they asked us to stay for like a week or so, and we stayed for a week, and we were pretty over with them and stuff. But because we were doing a tour, we had like other shows lined up all over the States. Yeah. So we went off and done them, and then of course your visa runs out or whatever, because you only get, I don't know, maybe a month visa at the time.
Right.
And we had to come back, so it was one of those things of, if you're ever in the States, we'll use you, but you know, we're not going to get you a work permit or anything at that time. Do you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
You know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I'm quite happy with the way things are going and stuff. But yeah, that was definitely the defining match of my career, I'd say. And other matches with Jodie. I don't know, Wrestle Express was quite a crazy one as well. Do you ever remember that one?
I haven't seen the Wrestle Express. That was the one that was meant
to be at the Coventry Skydome with like Mr.
I remember
Perfect
that. I was talking about this as well recently. Was you there for the day when we actually all went down to film?
There.
You was there for that.
That was Tower Bridge.
That's
Hotel.
Right. Yeah, it was a crazy day.
Of us,
have you? Yeah, with
Me,
Jimmy Hart and yeah, that was a strange day, wasn't it? That guy was absolutely blasted on the night time, wasn't he? Yeah.
He fell asleep, didn't he?
He did fell asleep on his drunken wine. He'd keep nodding and then waking up again. I was trying to, when I did the podcast with Doug, I was talking about that the guy was trying to touch his arms up and things. He was saying, "Oh, Doug, you've got lovely arms." Doug just completely denied it, but I think it was more saving face than anything else, because he definitely remembers Doug. I think he's trying to save face.
I think that was the match Doug was most remembered for in his career.
Yes.
Sorry, Doug. Yeah, great times, man.
We did, absolutely.
We did a lot of crazy stuff, man, back in the day. But everyone does, you know. I'm a big believer in, like, now I'm at that stage now where guys would tell you not to do so much in the ring, and psychology and things like that. I'm that guy now.
Yes.
I think, personally, it doesn't matter how many times or who says it to guys when they're younger. They're going to do what they're going to do. They've got to learn. They've got to go through that. And it's not right and it's not wrong. You know, I don't think there's any right or wrong. You just got to go through that process, and then if you want career longevity, then you tone down your style a little bit, or you know, you become something completely different. But millions of things work in wrestling. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't, just because you're known as a high flyer back in the day, it doesn't mean to say you have to do that your entire career, as you well know. You know, you transitioned, like, you used to do a lot of wrestling yourself, didn't you? Stuff, you know, and you transitioned to, you know, the comedy character, or you know, just all this sort of stuff and that, you know, you're ever evolving, and I think that's what you've got to be in wrestling to stay sort of relevant.
Yeah. Did you ever have any problems when you went to the different changing rooms when you started working for All Star, for example? Because, I mean, you was known as the... I mean, you was the complete new school, wasn't you, at the time? I mean, you were literally the new school, and you were seen as, you were literally the guy that was the new school guy, wasn't you? Did you have any problems with anybody, any of the old-timers?
I mean, one of the first shows I ever did was a show for a guy called Shane Stevens, who was a renowned British wrestling promoter.
Yes.
And I think that a couple of guys that night were told to do us in the Rumble or something like that. There was a guy called Big John Prater, and he was a massive
big,
guy,
tasty fella, yeah.
And I think even Cole Kramer, maybe in back in the day, and they were just laying it in a little bit. It's no worse. It's not like you're getting killed or anything like that, but you feel it a lot more, do you know what I mean? And I remember being really, really scared afterwards, but luckily there was a couple of other hammerlockers on it, Justin Richards, and I think Alex may have even been on it as well. And I remember just being really, really scared and worried, because obviously we were only young kids, and there's these like big old
guys,
gonna, you know, you hear are going to kill you in the Rumble and stuff like that. But you know, it is what it is. I've told the story before about one time in Croydon. I think Marty Jones was told to give us a slap or something. It was him against me and Jodie. But again, it was just getting hit hard in a match. Do you know what I mean? I still have matches sometimes like that now. Yeah. You know, I don't particularly like them, but it's not like, oh my God,
I'm getting broken
my head
legs
kicked in or anything like that. No, it was nothing like that, man. So